This. It was impressive. If there was a worse coaching decision in recent memory in college football, I don't know what it would be. Late night, I was already tucked into my bed, all snug.
Were you?
So I wasn't watching this game. When I saw Alvin Mack, who's a listener to the program, and has been great with Lisa Ann the last few years. She has been in town, and he was at the Hit and Giggle. And Miami was kind of a team they had beaten A&M, but they were flying under the radar a little bit for being an undefeated team. And so when I saw Alvin, I said, hey, are your Hurricanes still undefeated? He said, yes, they are. And they were, Doug, and they were about to improve to, I think, 5-0, beating a Georgia Tech team that got taken out at home by Bowling Green. And Bowling Green, of course, ranks second behind Georgia in this week's polls.
I don't think so.
Okay, I got a different poll for you. But this is what wound up happening. They're up. They can kneel on the ball. Alas, they decided not to. Georgia Tech couldn't stop the clock. Here's what happened.
No, hit the lever, please, Plowsy.
With 10 seconds to go from the 44, snap back to King. Flush down to his right. Looking. 5 seconds to go. He will toss it into the end zone at the 5. Larry into the end zone. Touchdown Jackets. Touchdown Jackets. 1 second left. Question Larry. What did we just witness? Throwing downfield to Christian Leary, who got behind the defense at the 5. And it's 23-20 Jackets. I see it, and I still don't believe it.
I botched the setup. There was a fumble, of course. They ran the football. Fumble.
Instead of just taking a knee.
They take the knee. The game is over.
Right.
For whatever reason, they run the football. They fumble it. Georgia Tech recovers, and you heard the call of the Georgia Tech radio team with what was probably, a 45, 50-yard pass with 1 second left on the clock. And Miami goes from undefeated, 5-0, in an up for grabs, you call it snatch grabs.
Yeah, I do.
ACC, and now have that. Mario Cristobal, after the game, here's what he had to say.
I'd like to hear it. Hit the lever, please.
And then at the end of the game, a chance to put it away. And should just tell them to take a knee, take a timeout right there, recalibrate, and just take a knee. And so gave them a chance, and they took advantage of it and scored. So it's that simple. Questions, please. When the drive started, it was going to be at 157, and we could burn about 127 off, and then it was recalibrated. They should have taken a timeout right there at the end. Thought he could get the first down, and we talked about 2 hands on the ball, but that's not good enough. Just should have told him to take a knee, and that's it. Fumbled the ball at 25, and they went 75 yards in 2 plays. So no excuse.
It's fireable, honestly.
And they had shots of the players on the Miami bench. You talk about crestfallen.
Oh, my God.
Brought that to a new level.
They were 20-point favorites.
Yeah.
And Stanford Steve said they should have been 30-point favorites. He thought it was really weird that it was only 20 points. And lo and behold.
That victory formation is kind of a boring way to end a lot of games. But if you're ahead, you don't really care.
Oh, no.
It's
It's
just
the
nail
only
down.
option. It's the only option. Yeah. Mario Cristobal kept saying the word recalibrate in his post-game. That was like the 8th time he had said it to that point. That's like the mountaintop of word salad things to say.
Oh, is that right? Recalibrate? Yeah, that is kind of that's a nice
Recalibrate.
word salad. Yeah. I watched the clip when I woke up the next morning, and I saw you sent one of the links over last night, Jackson. I was thinking, who was on the call of the broadcast? Because they were all over it. And it turns out it was Tim Hasselbeck.
Yeah.
And when you go back and you watch that clip of Miami running a play, Hasselbeck was all over it before he fumbled. That's, to me, a sign of quality judgment. Any asshat can go, boy, why did they do this? They shouldn't have done this. Well, if you're observing something in advance, it's a ball. But that's how you know if somebody is hip to crap. And he was all over that. That was something that was worthy of being criticized. Any coach would be criticized for that. Nick Saban botched the end of the A&M game on Saturday, but Alabama won, and so it obviously doesn't get talked about all that much. I would imagine Alabama fans may be talking about it, but he blew that. And Mario Cristobal, he's a Miami alum. He had great things going at Oregon, left there to go to Miami. You've got a team in a year that probably is up for grabs in the national championship, although Georgia kind of reestablished themselves on Saturday night, just absolutely skull-effing. Kentucky is a 14.5-point favorite, showed that when they want to turn it on, they can. But, as far as the ACC goes, Florida State may be undefeated, but they haven't looked great, minus the game against LSU. And you botched that. Well, Tim Hasselbeck was all over it. He said, just take a knee. You should not be handing this football off. I don't know what Miami is doing. Now, this is before he fumbles. You should not be running the football. You should be taking a knee. As soon as Miami got that first down, Georgia Tech used its last timeout. As long as you milk the clock all the way down, you don't need to be doing this, and you certainly don't need to be fighting for extra yards. And then, sure enough, he fumbles the football, and Hasselbeck says, I'm going to say it. It needs to be said. That's one of the biggest coaching mistakes at this level that I have ever seen in my lifetime. You should not be running the football. You run the football, fumble, and give up a score. That is devastating for a 4-0 Miami team to get their first loss of the season on a sequence like that.
And now they're crestfallen.
And they are. And there's a cutaway of one of the, I believe, offensive linemen going, what in the F were we doing?
Yeah. I bet the running back feels horrible. The one thing he's got to do is don't fumble, and he fumbles.
Do you think the quarterback, when he's hearing that in his helmet, they're telling you the play? Can you just be like, what? Or can I just sit on it? Or I guess you just have to follow orders in that sense. But it's if you're the quarterback hearing that, you're like, what are we possibly doing? This is so asinine.
Yeah, the defensive secondary can't be too proud either to allow someone to get behind them.
Right. They made a really nice play, right before the touchdown pass. That was a juggled catch that he made right on the sideline. That was huge, too.
Was it fourth down? I saw the replay, but I didn't.
Third.
Or I saw the highlight.
When he fumbled, it was third.
All right, so he could have ran the clock out. I saw the clock. I saw there was 38 seconds left. So even if you hand it off and you got another play, that's, 35 seconds? The game's over.
That's correct.
Yeah. I don't know if they'd had 5 seconds left on the clock or not, so he was trying to get a first down, but...
Indefensible.
Yeah.
Absolutely indefensible.
People were pointing out he did the same thing at Oregon, and it didn't bite him in the ass, or it did, I can't remember. But he's he doesn't like to kneel on the football. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird stance to take.
He will now.
Yeah.
And so will everyone else.
Wins.
That'll be the message to every other coach currently working anywhere.
I guess the offensive coordinator made the call. Cristobal's not the offensive coordinator also, is he?
Yeah, but he's probably in charge of clock management.
Yeah, maybe that's why he said we should call a timeout.
After they ran it the first time, he could have said, what the hell are you doing? Just kneel down.
Miami should have went for a fake punt on third down.
Saw
That's
that
from
one
Plowboy's Dwellings.
That honestly would have probably been better.
Chris Raby is listening to the show, Doug.
Is he?
He says, follow me here, but what if Miami had just fake punted?
Well, say you went to
not even the
Brown
same thing.
and you were behind.
God, they're
You'd probably
winning.
do
What would they have done? Yeah. What would a Brown football coach have done?
It was
How'd they
third
do this
down,
weekend,
too, so it
by
has
the way?
nothing to do with it. You don't punt on third down, you idiot.
Plowsy, how's Brown doing this season?
Brown football.
Yeah.
They beat Bryant,
Bryant.
lost to Harvard in a thriller by 3.
Oh.
They beat Central Connecticut State. They lost another thriller to Rhode Island. So they're 7th in the Ivy League right now.
God.
We're putting up points, though.
Even in the Ivy League, they play scrubs.
Oh, yeah. They got,
Well, that's
I
fair.
got Princeton and Cornell back-to-back. You
I
don't
mean,
like
how
to see that
scrubby
stuff.
can you get at your league? Why do you got to go out of your league to play scrubs?
They are the scrubs.
Jake Wilcox threw for 386 and 4 touchdowns against Central Connecticut.
Probably a future brain surgeon.
Man, yeah, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is a playmaker.
Well, they've turned out an occasional player. Ryan Fitzpatrick, darn good quarterback in the NFL for years. Went to Harvard.
Nice take.
Didn't Pat McAfee go to Yale or something?
No, he went to West Virginia.
Well, who's the punter that was so good that went to an Ivy League school?
God, can you
Darnell
imagine
Coles?
There was not Darnell Coles. There was a
Pat McAfee going to an Ivy League? That's one of the funniest things. I've ever said.
There's some other punter I'm thinking about. He scored a perfect on the Wonderlic test and was one of the best punters in the league there for a while.
NFL players from the Ivy League, Doug. Not seeing any punters.
John Sott,
No, why am I so off?
Sean
on that?
Landetta.
Pat
No.
McNally.
That's who I'm thinking about. Pat McNally. Where did he go?
He went to He was a punter and wide receiver. I think he went to, I don't know how to look it up, Harvard.
That's who I was thinking about.
Yeah,
Perfect
score.
Wonderlic score, yeah.
How do you think you do on the Wonderlic score, Plowsy?
I'd like to do some IQ test to just see, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're skewered.
How so?
I don't know. That's just what they say. The Wonderlic test is skewered. It shouldn't make any difference.
Skewed?
Skewed, scared, same thing.
You usually say that when you don't score very well on a test. Yes.
I had another good
It's not fair.
fantasy team yesterday. I played 2 fantasy contests in the NFL this year.
Change subjects.
First one, I was winning $100, and Chubb went out. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I was winning $50, and Richardson went out in the second quarter.
Okay.
I like that story.
Yeah. Good story.
So if
Not
I
bad.
ever,
Didn't bring it
the
to
next time I play fantasy football, look at my 6 players because somebody's going to get hurt.
We're not looking at your six.
I want $1.50 in golf, but or $1.50.
Yeah. Okay.
I decided to throw it out there.
Yeah.
Still
Well, I
playing.
don't care. He's on my fantasy team.
Still playing. Still playing fantasy golf.
Drum. You play drum.
Playing fantasy golf.
Screw you.
What's going
I
on?
don't
Is
know.
Nathan from the east side of Allen back?
Is that for like the 5 listener and thinking? No, I haven't seen the text line. I just always like to say that. So it's not a shot at anybody, just a general shot at potential.
It was a preventative shot.
Yeah. I'm laying the foundation
Yeah. It's just
to
a
my
base.
take totem pole.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked yesterday, the Kansas City game. Not once did they show Taylor Swift.
Well, she wasn't there.
Well,
They showed.
they're all Wisconsin players.
They showed.
don't have
them,
an-
they showed them both getting off the plane in Minnesota.
That was a doctored image.
Oh, okay.
Gosh.
Bro.
Well, how am I going to know? They always show her.
Photoshop fooled
They
again.
always show when she's getting off a plane with him, and I saw both of them getting off a plane. And
She
somebody
would be
said,
on the Chiefs team plane. So
Dude.
nice.
I've said that. I've seen that 2 weeks in a row that she's on the Chiefs plane.
Jim Nance had one of the best lines to the
Chippy
opening.
Dance.
He's
saw that.
one of the greats.
So she was questionable.
Yeah, it said she was questionable. She's the only one that's inactive on today's roster. I mean, like, come on, dude. Like, he is a legend.
Why would she need to fly on the Chiefs plane? She's probably got a nicer plane of her
Probably
own.
has 3 or 4 private jets.
Yeah.
Man, the Chief get lucky.
Well, at some point, she's got to be giving concerts somewhere on a weekend, right? And can't get
She
to every
doesn't need to
Chiefs
do
game?
a single concert for the rest of her life.
No, but that's what she does still.
She's got a movie coming out.
She hasn't broken up with Kelsey yet, so, like,
Not that we know
when's
of.
the new album going to come out? You got to wait for a breakup.
Oh.
It can't be
Anyways.
during a relationship.
Anybody see the Riverfront Times article? Sorry, Doug.
We changing subjects?
No, the Riverfront
That
Times.
for-
Some girl did an article on. We could have had Taylor Swift in St. Louis, but Kroenke screwed it up. Talking about Kelsey didn't want to play for St. Louis, or else Kroenke wasn't owning the team. He would have come here, and he just said he saw the number of Missouri, which was Kansas City. It wasn't coming to St. Louis. It was the stupidest article I've ever read in my life. There are like 700 comments all saying, "What is this article even talking about? You're blaming Kroenke for us not having Taylor Swift in the audience?"
Hard to believe it'd be a stupid article in the Riverfront Times. Color me shocked.
And,
I did respond. I said a better article would have been why Taylor Swift won't bring her concert here. She's afraid of getting shot.
Oh. Well, that wasn't nice.
Well, probably truthful,
Yeah.
but it really was just.
Did you see where the St. Louis Board of Aldermen is now talking about a new law?
Changing the subject?
Well, we talk about laws, city of St. Louis, where they're going to make it legal for homeless people to urinate and defecate on the streets because they don't have enough bathroom facilities. It's going to be legal for them to do that.
I think you're stretching that a little bit. And I may be wrong.
No, that's exactly
I read the
what it is.
same.
That's exactly what it is. They say they don't have enough bathroom facilities.
I forgot who tweeted that because I did see the same thing.
Why homeless people?
It was in STLtoday.com. It wasn't a made-up tweet.
No.
Homeless people because they don't think they have enough suitable restroom facilities.
Well, what about me if I'm walking downtown and I have
You're
to go
not
to the
homeless. You'll go to
well,
jail.
so what? I'm walking in the same area there and I have to go to the bathroom. There's not enough bathrooms, so I'll just take a dump on the sidewalk.
Well, I'm sure there will people that will do that.
How many dumps have you seen on the sidewalk, though?
I saw that.
anybody
I saw it
seen
in
a
Seattle.
dump?
I saw people doing it in Seattle. I actually saw it. I was a few feet away from them.
I don't get what the difference between human poop and dog poop is anyways. I see more dog poop that's not cleaned up than anything. If there's a crisis that needs to happen and putting people heavy fine for not cleaning up
But
dog poop.
dogs don't know better.
Humans are the one controlling the dogs in terms of, like, picking up the poop.
Oh, yeah. But still, you can't control what a dog does to what a human does.
Rather poop than throw up.
So you're okay with this?
I'm not okay with anything, Doug. I don't want somebody pooping next to me on the sidewalk or the street.
Well,
but
it could be legal now.
I don't want cops to arrest anything. I want their focus to be on like actual crime. I could care less if 500 homeless people are making a totem pole next to under Eads Bridge.
Oh,
I don't
come
care.
on, you don't want that.
What I want is like a safe city that I can go downtown again.
That too.
So,
yeah. It's okay to want both.
Yeah, but focus on one more than the other. Take craps wherever, just as long as I'm not near.
No, that's not okay to take a crap wherever. That's not all right.
It took forever for them to tell the handsome cab people to put poop bags behind their horses. You just watch them going down the Market Street and there's boom, boom, just big plops on the highway.
Yeah.
And it took them like a couple of years to say, yeah, maybe we just put a poop bag behind them and not have all that horse crap on the highway.
They would at least try to have a guy with a broom and a bucket behind them to pick it up.
That's what they should offer, is a broom and a bucket to every homeless person.
But we can't get to the point where it's okay to pee and poop on the streets of downtown St. Louis. Tell me we've not fallen that far.
Bean dip.
Wouldn't it be easier just to give them free Pampers? Or Depends?
We're not pooping in their pants.
How about just tell them to go to a restroom somewhere? Or give them an outhouse. Put an outhouse someplace.
How about just giving them a field to live in?
A field. Well, we've given them buildings to live in.
Just giving them an
They have
empty
shelters.
farmland.
You know?
Grow crops? Self-sustaining?
I saw a dog a few years ago eat pumpkin seeds, puke and poop it in the yard, and now that family has like pumpkin patches.
Huh.
Really? Yeah, that's a fun story. And they have a
You
picture.
saw that happen?
They have a picture of the dog and like little pumpkins as like its kids, since it pooped out the seeds. I thought that was a good story.
Why wouldn't you just plant them instead of waiting for them to get pooped out?
I just thought that was a fun story to
It's
add.
a nice little story. Where did this happen?
I don't know.
And full-size pumpkins came out of that?
Yeah, I did. I got a huge pumpkin patch in the yard.
Would you have to eat the seed whole to make that happen?
I think so, and you got to poop it out, and then like he probably dug and pooped, and then like
Buried it and watered it.
Smart dog.
Let's recap where this has gone since we talked about the Miami not kneeling.
Okay.
We talked about Taylor Swift, Photoshop being on the plane, to a Referent Times article about Taylor Swift, to homeless people now being allowed to poop, to dogs pooping out pumpkin seeds.
Yes. Doug, that's the show diagram.
I suppose most radio stations are covering the same
I
thing.
guarantee
this
Randy
morning.
Character is.
Yeah, it should be.
You know what they led with down the hallway?
What?
Take a guess. Fire a bullet. I think, Jackson, did you happen to hear? I was in the break room at 7 o'clock putting my protein shake in there, so I was like, I wonder what they'll lead with there.
Missouri?
So you weren't listening, okay?
I'm going to say, I didn't listen either. I'm going to
Fire a
say,
bullet at the pot. Fire a bullet at the pot.
if I'm right, people are going to say I was listening, but I don't listen. I'm going to say they talked about Clayton Kershaw getting bombed.
I don't know exactly what they were talking about. But they were talking about baseball playoffs, so I don't know if that's what they. Yeah. And I thought, God,
because you could tie.
I'm not. I don't know if I've watched a minute total. I think I maybe browsed past it of the baseball playoffs.
Yeah, I didn't even know who won the first round. I just saw the scores of the second round.
But I think all the lower seeds have won or are winning.
Dodgers and Braves both lost their first game.
Right. And the Orioles are down 2-0, so they're on the verge of elimination. It's great. You play 162 games,
Yeah, baseball's
you win 100,
broken.
and now you just get shipped out and you wrap her on up. This was, the 5 and 6 seeds were in the NLCS last year.
Nobody wants to see that.
I really do think that there is something to the reward is actually a penalty. You know what I mean? That you have to sit around for 5 days, and these teams come out and they get beaten. You follow what I'm saying on it? The bye?
By having the rest
Right.
works against them.
Right. As strange as it might sound.
And give
Either way,
credit.
I just hate that you play 162 games and, the Brewers win the division, gone, best of 3. I don't know. It lessens the regular season's important, and it lessens my interest in the postseason and the regular season.
I don't know any way around it short of starting the season earlier.
I would
in
like to
warm
see
weather
the 3
cities.
divisions and the 1 wild card. That's what I would like. I understand they will not do that because it's worked as far as more interest and more teams being in it. But that's what I would like.
I think, God, and I'm going to get killed for this, but like, I think 8 teams total make the playoffs. That's how I think it should work.
Well, that's what I was just saying. Then.
Yeah, like that.
So the 3, because that's what it was
like,
up until I don't know what year they changed it, but it was 3 division winners and a wild card.
It's perfect that way.
Because right now, winning the division.
Nothing.
Cardinals won the division last year, and 2022 was painted as a failure. You had the MVP, you had another guy in the top 3, and you had a 90-plus win season, but you got a best of 3, and, that'll wrap it up. And I realize it's also a commentary on the National League Central. I think the National League Central's won 1 playoff series since the Cubs won the World Series, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
How about that? Since the night the Cubs beat the, I apologize in advance, Indians. I know. I'll tweet
Cut out of
something
that,
out.
Plowsy?
I already. We're not even on air.
Momentarily.
Won't be if you didn't.
In 2016, the National League Central has the Cardinals win over the Braves in Game 5, and I think that's the only series. I could be off on that. I was reading Derek Gould's article yesterday, and I think that's it was either him or Ben Fredrickson talking about the National League Central having 1 playoff series win, and I think 1 win. I think 1 or 2 games won since the Cardinals won that series because they got swept by the Nationals. I don't remember anything about the 2020 playoffs. I think the Dodgers won the World Series, but the Cardinals won a game against the Padres, and then they lost the next 2, I think. Point being, it's a commentary on the Central, but it's also a commentary on the importance of winning a division in baseball, which is none. And on top of it, we're starting to collect. It's still a small sample size. You're going, okay, well, hold on a second. Are having these days off beneficial? You talk to guys, Andy Van Slyke was a coach on the Detroit Tigers. He said the Cardinals won that series when we had to sit out a week. They won their series against the A's a full week before the Cardinals and Tigers played in 2006, whereas the Cardinals won the NLCS against the Mets, I think, 2 nights before Game 1 of the World Series. It's weird how those things can work out, but for whatever reason in baseball, it can be a penalty. I know they're not going to go back, and it's still a relatively speaking small sample size, but we saw it last year in the National League, and so far, I mean, here are the Orioles winning what I think people would say is the best division in baseball. Wouldn't the American League East be the best division in baseball?
Yeah, I think so.
And they're the Rays gone 2 games, Blue Jays gone 2 games, Orioles maybe gone, tonight?
Could be.
I mean,
well, tomorrow, I think.
I don't know.
Cardinals are going to have a big off season, though, it sounds like.
Oh.
Well, no, it sounds like they're going to have interest in Nola and Gray. I love that, showing interest or going to pursue them.
Yeah.
Was the NLDS...
Those are always my favorite storylines of this offseason.
Before they expanded the playoff teams, was the NLDS always best of 5, or was it best of 7 at one time?
NLDS was always best of 5. It was weird in the strike season of 81, right? Is that right? What was the strike season? It was 81, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
And the Cardinals beat the Braves in 82, and it was a best of 5. But when they beat the Dodgers in 87, it was a best of 7. So I think 84 was the last year of best of 5s. But those were LCSs. The LDSs, which started in 1995, were best of 5s. The wild card round, when they expanded the playoff field, is the best of 3. And then the LDS best of 5, LCS best of 7, World Series best of 7.
I think if you wanted longer playoff series, not just the best of 3 for the first round, if you just started the season a week earlier and scheduled most of them in warm weather or dome cities, you could probably pull it off. You could probably make those at least best of 5. At least best of 5. You could easily add a couple games.
I'm not bothered by the regular season versus playoff discrepancies. I now look at it like March Madness. It's a tournament. Also, it's more fun to root for David than Goliath. Serious text, so Merkin. Doug, I like that. Serious text, so Merkin.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
First name So, last name Merkin?
Oh.
Yeah, like, how would you read this? Serious text, so, comma, Merkin.
Segment title.
So, like, are we waiting for, like, the Merkin story? Do you have a Merkin story in your playbook?
I haven't got one.
Is Iggy, is that, like, play like XY. Would be funny to have like Iggy have like a call sheet, like a quarterback, and like revert back to stories. Like
I would wear a serious Texo Merkin hoodie.
I think that
I'm
really
sure
would
He's
work.
playing that one.
I'm sure people now are waiting for the Lucy Lawless Merkin story, which I'm not going to do.
See,
Come
Doug,
on, give it to us
Doug, you
now.
can
That's the
seriously-
play. It just got called.
You can
It's like
have
asking Kareem to do the hook shot.
You can have Jackson in the corner as his offensive coordinator, and he goes, "Okay, the Merkin call, 13."
It worked against Pittsburgh. Let's do it again. Could we please have the Lucy Lawless Merkin story? Just the abridged version.
I interviewed her and I said, "Have you had to use your Merkin yet?" She says, "No, I have one in my dressing room, but I haven't had to use it yet."
We've heard that story so many times.
She never did full frontal.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of lesbian scenes though.
Oh.
She went from Xena to having sex with women in the Spartacus. Great nudity in that series.
Oh,
Nice.
Very
And there were
nice.
some Merkins too. You could tell they were Merkins.
All right.
Yeah, they were like painted on. They looked like they were like painted on.
But then it wouldn't be a Merkin, right?
Yeah, but that's how good the Merkin was. It was like a triangle shape. It wasn't just some big ass fur ball you just throw on.
Oh,
It was like shaped.
Bill's Merkin. C.D. Longo and Doug Biggs of the Longo Biggs Injury Law Firm will take all the complication and hassle
Love that tie-in.
hassle out of your injury claim. They will deal with the insurance company and take the fight head on, allowing you to get back to what's important, which is recovering from your injuries. Injury cases can be complex. Each case and accident is different, and every fact is important when building a case. People often wonder how injured victims get large settlements or verdicts, and the short answer is because they're represented by effective and skilled lawyers who understand how to get every dollar out of their case, and that's what you will get at Longo Biggs Injury. Skilled trial lawyers who will go to battle for you to fight against the deceitful tactics of insurance companies. CD and Doug are trial lawyers, meaning they won't settle if there's an obstacle or complication in your case. In fact, most cases have them, and Doug and CD will overcome those obstacles and take your case all the way to trial if necessary. They are local, and they care about their reputation. They're TMA listeners. They are Longo Biggs. Longo Biggs, online at longobiggs.com. Longo Biggs, injury law, accepts personal injury, wrongful death, brain injury, and other catastrophic injury cases. Remember, the choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Jackson, do you know anything about Mark Hahn of Evergreen Wealth Strategies?
I know he's the great communicator.
Wow,
too.
Doug.
And the reason I know that is because I work with Mark. I know Doug works with Mark, producer Joe works with Mark, and a number of our listeners work with Mark Hanna. And they all say the same thing, man. It's like the way this guy communicates his message is really, really special. It's something that you look for in a financial advisor. Everybody needs a financial advisor. You really do. You might not think you do, but I'm telling you, once you start working with somebody, you're like, well, I wish I would have done this months earlier, years earlier.
and you just sit there and communicate like the Dickens?
Well, when you need to, that's the thing, Doug. Like,
I got to talk to Mark like today, too.
Yeah,
I got a decision I'm making, and I lean on Mark.
yeah, you're jonesing for a
I
call.
am Jones, and that's exactly what I'm doing,
You're
Jackson.
jonesing for a call with Mark, and that's what you'll do, man, because everyone knows there's a ton of variables in life. You may build a plan with Mark, and then some changes across your life, and you need to change up your plan. Well, you get on the phone with Mark Cannon, you feel better getting off the phone than when you get on it. And to me, that's exactly what I'm working for. That's why I work with Mark Hanna. It's exactly why you should work with Mark Hanna as well.
The number is 314-889-0503. It's like a rush of dopamine. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Call with Mark Hanna. EvergreenSTL.com. That's Mark Hanna. Evergreen Wealth Strategies. Illinois Recovery Center is the new premier inpatient substance abuse facility in Swansea, Illinois. When it comes to the disease of addiction, getting help should not be as difficult as it currently is. The Illinois Recovery Center's mission is to be the receiving hand in the community when someone seeks help. The IRC delivers a comprehensive system of care that welcomes both the individual struggling and family alike. If you or someone you know wants to learn about the Illinois Recovery Center, please call 888-472-9559 or email info@illinoisrecoverycenter.com. Got a chance to talk with the fine folks from Illinois Recovery Center on Friday at the TMA Hit and Giggle. They're doing some wonderful things over there. If you or someone you know needs their help, please call 888-472-9559 or email info@illinoisrecoverycenter.com. It's 8:57 in St. Louis on October 9th. 2023, and that means the Colonel has returned from Italy.
Has he?
Fresh off of a trip to the Ryder Cup. Maybe he's experiencing jet lag now. He said he wasn't on Saturday. I watched his post-game show with Gerard Hamilton following the loss to LSU. Looking forward to talking it over with the Colonel, presented to you by James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Jeremy Rutherford's going to join us coming up, 10:45 on Balloon Party?
Yeah, yep, 10:45.
He'll be with us every Monday on Balloon Party, and I think he's going to be with us on TMA, am I right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Outstanding.
That's before the...
He does two-parters too, Doug. You like those two-parters?
No, he doesn't.
He does.
Does he really?
Before the season opener on Thursday, you're going to hear a little Jeremy Rutherford here on Wednesday.
Blues and Stars in Dallas on Thursday, opening up the season, and then Blues and Kraken on Saturday, opening up the home portion of the schedule at Enterprise Center. So Jeremy Rutherford with us at 10:45 on 101 ESPN. The Colonel with us on the other side of the break, talking Missouri LSU in the second half of the season. Get his perspective on what took place.
Make sure you ask him about the fake punt.
Yeah.
See what his thoughts are.
Man, a speed option.
Who can deliver the best? Because I'll giggle, so I can't do it.
Maybe,
Doug, I feel like you stay in character better than anybody.
Yeah, Doug,
Yeah, I'll ask him fun.
And then, because he won't
something
know.
about the uniform?
He'll know with me that I'm being a smartass. Yeah, and ask about the
James can do it.
They were really pissed. Missouri fans hated the pants.
I
Like,
love
really
the
were upset
uniform.
about it. It was a thing.
They look
Jackson,
terrible.
you know about that?
Yeah, I know. Bad take. The white pants look beautiful.
I really liked it. I thought you liked him when we looked at it on Family Golf on Friday.
Yeah.
Well,
They
the
did.
top hat, the jersey was good, the helmet was perfect, the white pants doesn't work.
You know, the
You're supposed
best
to wear
outfit
gold
they have
pants.
worn
You
all
liked it?
season.
Wow.
100%.
Doug, how about that?
Luther Burden looked like a he looked so fast when he was running the ball
No.
with those white
But
pants.
how did I'm curious? They obviously do workouts in the weight room. How did nobody get an ass bleeding injury? White pants, you understand? Like I'm looking for it. There's not one person with blood coming out of their butt.
You know what I can't get used
Which
to?
I was shocked with.
Is they basically wear shorts now to play.
Oh, no pads,
Short
shorts.
pant.
Nothing over the knee, nothing.
But they also
wear
wear leggings
shorts
under
out
it
there.
usually.
Well, dude, when you get, they probably realize those pads aren't going to protect an ACL injury. Like those knee pad things are
Help you
a
if you've
joke.
fallen and landed on your knees, though.
Maybe.
That's why you wear leggings underneath, Doug.
Some of them don't wear leggings, and
Yeah.
leggings aren't going to stop you, aren't going to provide any padding whatsoever.
I've heard from multiple players that
Jackson's been talking to the team.
Can we ask Gabe
not
this
Mizzou
instead?
players, but football players that pads when you can wear your pants over above your knee, it's much more freeing. When you have to wear pants over your knee, it can kind of mess with your mobility.
I'm
I
not a
don't doubt
Mizzou
it.
fan, but I was at the game, and the white pants are legit. That's from Kurt's former coworker.
They're not legit.
they look better than the black pants.
Well,
Doug, can you ask
Supposed
Gabe
to wear
about
gold,
the
not
pants
yellow.
and the
Ask
pads?
that, and then the fake punt, and then see if the Colonel hangs up.
What?
All right, that's coming up next. Brought to you by James Carlton. This is TMA from the Michelob Ultra Studios.
Okay. Hot takes.
Yeah.
Pepperoncini. Pepperoncini.
and now the Pepper and Genie Show with Darren Atkins and Ken Stroh. All right, take it, fellas.
There it is. That's the open.
Pepperoncini.
Pepperoncini. Pepperoncini. Pepperoncini. Pepperoncini. Pepperoncini. Pepperoncini.
We don't know what it is. We don't understand the name. We just know it's stupid. And it's available every weekday, featuring Iggy and the Plowboy. Apparently it's some kind of a podcast or something. Available at tmastl.com and on the TMASTL mobile app. Whatever. Hey, if you like the morning after, check out Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. HD1, by the way. It's sports talk with Tim McKernan and Action Jackson from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. each weekday, right after the morning after. It's the worst named show in the history of radio, but the content's pretty good, so check it out on 101 ESPN or get the podcast on the TMA app.
Hey, this is Tim McKernan, and I am here with a great TMA sponsor, and that is Longo Biggs Injury Law Firm. And you may hear a bunch of out-of-state law firms advertising here and there all over on billboards and so on and so forth. But the thing is, oftentimes their goal is to just settle and move on. And that's not what you guys do.
Yeah, this is CD Longo, and you hear us talking a lot about maximizing the value of cases, but what does that actually mean? Well, as Tim said, there's lots of personal injury lawyers in St. Louis, and everyone handles cases differently. We focus on getting the highest dollar amount for your injuries, not just getting a resolution quickly. We're constantly tracking all the settlements and verdicts in the area. This helps us advise our clients on whether a settlement offer is too low. And if the amount of compensation being offered is too low, we are happy to file lawsuits and proceed to trial to ensure our clients receive an amount that is fair. Visit our website or Google us at Longo Biggs Injury Law.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Rosalitas know that a fun happy hour and scenic patio go together like fresh guac and chips. So take advantage of their covered patio this fall and winter at their De Pere location and enjoy happy hour specials Monday through Friday from 3 to 6. Their sparkling margarita is made with Chambord raspberry liqueur and topped with a bottle of Rosé Prosecco. They also have a variety of delicious margarita flavors, including mango, pomegranate, and blood orange, all made with top-shelf tequila and Cointreau. With phenomenal service, great margaritas, and a breathtaking atmosphere, there's always a reason to come to Rosalitas.
Hey, you know, living in the country or in a small town has its benefits. You know your neighbors, you got breathable air, life is good, but slow internet is kind of the way it goes out here. Your video calls are laggy, websites load at a snail's pace. Well, there's one company that can help us folks out here. They're called Whisper, like whisper, without the H. They bring high-speed internet to rural places. No contracts, no hidden fees, with a satisfaction guarantee or your money back. Check them out at whisperisp.com.
I'm Tim McKernan here with Action Jackson talking to you about Mark Hanna. TMA listeners have a lot to think through financially, whether it be saving up for their child's education or planning for their own retirement and everything in between.
Whether you're like me and just getting started with your financial planning or you're already retired, call Mark Hanna.
It all starts with a 15-minute phone call to discuss your needs and design the right strategy for you and your future.
Visit evergreenstl.com or give Mark a call at 314-889-0503 today.
Mark Hanna offers securities through Equitable Advisors and insurance and annuity products through Equitable Network, LLC.
When we think of a real estate agent, we think of somebody simply selling our home or finding us a new one. I mean, they're all the same, right?
Okay, here's the comps. We'll take some pics, we'll post them, and I'll get back to you, okay?
A home is life-changing, and your real estate agent should reflect that. Honesty, integrity, and someone who will go above and beyond to make your dreams come true.
The Jeff Lutman Group with Compass Realty. We're different because you're different. We want what you want. Experience the difference today at jefflutman.com, bringing people and properties together.
Urban Dictionary defines thirsty as purposely, knowingly, and recklessly attempting to gain fame to boost self-esteem. So, are you thirsty? Well, TMA has you covered. Become a part of the 2023 TMA Listener of the Month Club. You nominate yourself for a monthly award. And if you win, you get recognition and stuff to help you satisfy that insatiable thirst. We're talking January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, etc. Go to TMASTL.com or the TMA app. Give us your name, a photo, and other pertinent information. Tell us why you deserve to be TMA Listener of the Month. And if you don't want to use your real name or photo, we don't really care. The TMA Listener of the Month. Get recognized just for being you or fake you or whatever. Quenched by Milagro Tequila. Welcome to the brighter side of tequila with Milagro in the morning after on KPNT HD2.
The Illinois Recovery Center is dedicated to providing precise and authentic care to those seeking help and treatment. Whether you've made the life-saving choice to seek help on your own or you want to be prepared for the other end of an addiction intervention with a loved one, the chance to learn about addiction recovery is available to you at the Illinois Recovery Center in Swansea. If you or someone you know wants more information about the Illinois Recovery Center, please call 888-472-9559 or email info@illinoisrecoverycenter.com.
Live from the Michelob Ultra Studios, KPNT FM HD2, Collinsville, St. Louis. This is TMA All Day.
I spent 4 years in San Francisco.
It's the morning after.
KPNT FM HD2,
Collinsville, St. Louis.
Hey, Tanner, you got something for us?
Yeah, man, we helped me freestyle a song.
No problem, man. One take max.
You think we can do it once?
Easy.
Where's Coach A these days anyway?
Arkansas?
Come on, Andrew. Faith and hate, man.
You know the worst thing about Arkansas?
What's that?
It's got Kansas in it.
No, we're not knocking on the door. We're busting in. And we ain't waiting anymore to be champions. Gotta win, gotta fight, yeah. This is Missouri, we ain't taking our time. Oh, we in a hurry. Screw red and blue. We are Mizzou. So who you? Hey, Kansas, learn your place. Rock chalk, yeah, how's the taste? Cause it must be hard to sing when Ratliff throws down in your face. Say your grace.
Suit and tie.
Cause you'll be sorry in this title race. We welcome rivalry, but they're too scared to come back to our place.
You like this?
No. We're marching straight into this top 22.
Welcome back to TMA from the Michelob Ultra Studios. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice James Carlton has replaced Ken Strode. This segment with Gabe Dearman brought to you by James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Doug, his number is 314-961-4800. Or you go online at Carlton Insurance. KG.net. Morning, James.
Good morning, gentlemen. How we doing?
Heck of a little video you put together last week.
Oh, I did nothing. KG just texted me, I'm on my way. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
I shot a little B-roll there. And
Yeah, me, you, and Doug were supporting
you guys
actors.
gave great takes. I had a very limited role, but kudos to KG on that.
But, I mean, Jackson's the one who, with a cigar, was grinding on the loins of...
You probably could have grinded a little more, Jackson. I think there was a little COVID, little barrier there.
During, when Brady fumbled on 3rd and 6 there, I was thinking to myself, if I just grinded on KG a touch harder, maybe Connor Tollison doesn't legal snap earlier.
Let's get the perspective of the great Gabe Dearman of PowerMizzou.com with us every Monday here on TMA. Brought to you by the great James Carlton of CarltonInsurance.net. Doug, everybody's great. Morning, Colonel.
Yeah. Hey guys, that was not my intro music to which I'm accustomed. I am appearing under protest solely because James is in studio.
Wow! Otherwise, you would have hung up.
Gosh,
he's a Tina guy.
Yeah,
he's a Tina guy.
James has saved the segment. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh. Well, I know you came on wanting to talk uniforms, but we want to get away from that and talk about why Missouri didn't try a fake punt on 4th and 32.
Wait, is that a serious thing?
Yep, sure is.
Clip that off.
According to who?
Well, Ken Strode works on the show. He is here and there, however, and unfortunately, he is not in the studio at the moment, but in the 7 o'clock hour, he was, I think, serious and adamant that they should have gone with a fake punt on 4th and 30.
All due respect, please pass along my input that is the worst football idea I've ever heard. If you want to actually just punt, I'll listen to the argument they should have just punted on 4th and 32. That's fine. But a fake punt is, I don't know, man.
Well, you put Burden out there and you throw in the ball.
Or speed option.
Yeah, what about the fullback guy?
Yeah, could get a couple. All right.
Just break a tackle. Doug. Remember Ron Janes?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he could have broken free on that spot.
Yeah.
Colonel, so much to discuss regarding this game. It sounds like you're in lockstep, though, with Iggy, that you think the fake punt was the miss on 4th and 32.
Obviously. Actually, what about, I don't remember exactly where they were on the field, but what about a 91-yard field goal?
Doug, what about that? Nobody's talked about that.
The wind
yet.
was blowing with them.
You never try.
Yeah. You got to take your chances. You can't leave that out there. Colonel, I read all of your stuff and Gerard stuff on PowerMizzou.com. One of my favorite things every Monday is the 10 thoughts and then some for Monday morning. And I thought you summed this up pretty well for where most Missouri fans are, is that they were playing with house money going into the game, and so a win would have done a lot more for the program than a loss did damage to the program. And I'd like you to expound upon that which you wrote this morning on Power Mizzou.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do understand in the immediate aftermath, when you're up 22-7, you should win the game. You're in the game with the top, 10, 15, whatever you think LSU is in the fourth quarter. You know, you've got the lead with 6 minutes left. It is a missed opportunity to have not won that game. There's no question about that. So I understand the frustration of losing, but big picture, I thought best case scenario for this program after 6 weeks was 5-1 with a win over Kansas State and a competitive loss against LSU. That's where they're at. You know, now I understand 6-0 was within their grasp, and it was a little bit of a frustrating day. I mean, your offense gave you a big lead, defense couldn't hold it. Your offense got the lead back, defense couldn't hold it, and then you lost the game on what I think that if you change one play in that game, to me, it's the snap infraction on 3rd and 1.
Yeah, Doug and I were talking about that as well. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And the issue with that, because I know a lot of people don't watch as intently as you know, hell, all of us in the studio, actually. Plowhawk, you watch a lot of Missouri football, and Gabe, obviously, it's your job, and James is in here, and Doug and I. The issue with that, if it's a one-off, you go, oh, that sucks. What terrible timing for that to happen. But it's not. It's his fourth one of the year.
If I said at the beginning of the season, I'm going to set the over-under on snap infraction penalties at 1.5, I think most of us would take the under, right? I mean, it happens once. I mean, hey, weird things go on. Okay. But, and I forget if it's 3 or 4, but either way, it's way more than it should be. And in that position, it reminded me of the false start penalty at the half-yard line against Georgia. It's literally the one thing you can't do because so many people in hindsight are saying, well, why didn't they just run the ball on 2nd and 1? And that's fine. You could have run the ball on 2nd and 1. But throwing a pass on 2nd and 1 was not the problem. That's actually a great time to throw because if it is batted down or incomplete or whatever, you've got 2 more plays to get 3 feet, and no big deal. Well, as soon as you turn 3rd and 1 into 3rd and 6, it's a whole different thing. You can't run on 3rd and 6. I mean, you can, but then you're almost guaranteeing you're in 4th down. You basically limit what you can do, and then, your all SEC left tackle picked the worst time of the year probably to have a bad rep and give up a sack, and the quarterback fumbles the ball, and it all just, I mean, as soon as Brady Cook got hit on that play, that game was over.
That's exact. I mean, we're in 100% lockstep on that, and that's the other thing. That was the only time, and I'm sure there were others, but considering the importance of it, if you were watching it on television, I know you were at the game, Gabe, but if you're watching on television, you saw the D-end making his way, and you go, oh, my God, he has got a clear shot. So
I mean, Brady had no shot on that play. Now, yes, he could have held onto the ball, but there's no way he's getting rid of it.
Yeah. We heard Brian Kelly say that his LSU team was motivated by the fact that Mizzou scheduled him for homecoming. Did you have a chance to tell him that he's bat crap crazy?
Wait, did he really say that?
Yeah.
He said it. Gabe, he said it on the field with ESPN, and then he said it again in the press conference.
I missed the memo that it was homecoming.
Yeah.
Sure was. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see the house decks or the parade or any of the stuff they usually do.
Well, you were on vacation, apparently.
Like a miss on Mizzou's part for not to have promoted it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the offensive line, and obviously we're honing in on that 3rd down play. But if you ask me, they had the cleanest pockets I've seen all year for Brady Cook in the first half against some probably future NFL players on that defensive line. So I'm actually more bullish on the offensive line heading into the deep part of the SEC schedule. So that's one positive I take away is he was very clean. Even on that interception, he had all day. That was just a really bad decision by Brady on the interception in the 2nd quarter, which I think that turned the game. I mean, they were in the driver's seat big time there until that, and that was not under pressure. But on the negative side, and we saw this with Kadarius Toney in Week 1 for the Chiefs, they may not have any other wide receiver options. Mizzou does have legitimate tight end options, and on Stevens' 2nd drop, that should have been it. He had 4 drops.
4 drops.
Yeah. So on the offensive line, it's so tough to evaluate because you're right, the blocking's been better. Brady was kept clean most of the day. Cody Schrader had some running lanes. They had, 400 and whatever yards of total offense. That part was good. But the penalties are just, I mean, they've got 19 offensive line penalties, I think. Cameron Johnson's good for 1 or 2 a game. Tollison with the snap infraction. And it takes away so many of the positive. It's like talking about, it's like assessing the quarterback from this game and go, well, if he just didn't have those 2 interceptions, he played an amazing game. But he did have those 2 interceptions, So I think we graded the offensive line like a C or a C+, and I think that's fair because the penalties were just so damaging. And tight end, I wrote this morning, it's time for Brett Norfleet and for Jordan Harris. I mean, Stevens made a nice block on one of Cody Schrader's touchdown runs, and, I'm not saying he doesn't get to see the field, but that's too many. I mean, 4 drops and 5 targets, and I don't even blame him for the last one. I wrote this morning. How do you have a guy that's dropped 3 passes on the field in a position to drop a 4th pass on a drive that you're going to win the game?
Yeah.
I mean, in that game you're talking about with the Chiefs, Kadarius Toney got pulled. He was out. They quit doing it because it wasn't working for a long time, and at some point it had to reach that because once you've dropped 2, it's in your head, man. It's so hard to hold on to a football once you've dropped a couple.
Gabe Dearman is with us here every Monday, brought to you by James Carlton, who is in studios with us here on the Michelob Ultra Studios. Colonel, I wanted to get your perspective on a topic that I don't think was discussed on the broadcast. If it was, I apologize. and that is Brady Cook leaving the game. I was following everything on Power Mizzou while watching the game, and you mentioned that he went to the locker room. I thought the first quarter that Missouri played, in particular on offense, but also they got LSU to punt, that was, from a coaching standpoint, offensive execution standpoint, it was one of the most impressive quarters against a legitimate operation, as opposed to some of this crap that goes on in September. That I had seen in an incredibly long time. I don't even know what to compare it with. And I thought the Brady Cook that we saw the rest of the way was different than what we saw in the first quarter. And that's not chastising Brady Cook. I'm asking about his health, because you noted that he went to the locker room and then returned, but I don't believe that was mentioned on the broadcast. Do you have any idea what happened and what play caused it and what they were concerned about?
None. And we're not going to really get an answer. We did ask Eli about it after the game, and he said, yeah, he went in and got checked out. He came back. They said he was fine, and I don't really know more than that at this point. And he's probably not going to tell us, because they don't tell us what's wrong with the quarterback, right? He played last year with a torn labrum, and they never told us. Connor Bazelak could barely walk, and they just told us he was fine. So we understand that we're probably not. Maybe he tweaked the knee. Some people said they thought they saw him kind of working his arm, working his shoulder. I don't know what happened, how big an effect it had on the game. A lot of people blame the third quarter lull on, hey, they got more conservative or something was wrong with Brady. Well, the truth is they had 3 drives in that quarter. One of them resulted in a missed field goal, and they only had to attempt the field goal because of back-to-back drop passes. The second drive was a 3-and-out, and the third drive they had a touchdown. I mean, they should have had 10 points in that quarter. So I don't think the offense was that bad. Then he leads them down to the go-ahead touchdown drive with a couple of really nice throws in the fourth quarter. So I don't know. I mean, was he exactly the same quarterback in the second half as the first? Maybe not. But I didn't watch that game and think, this is a guy that's hurting them, or this is a guy that shouldn't be out there.
I agree with that. He just wasn't as good as he was in the first quarter. And again, I want to make it clear. I thought, as far as coaching goes, I mean, if you want to point to reasons Missouri lost that game, I'm just not going to come up with coaching. And
you come out and lead 22-7 and play the way they did for a quarter and a half in a big game, your coach has done his job.
That's how I felt about the Kansas State thing. Obviously, I had the delay of game debacle, but I thought, again, it shows progress. You saw what was going on. I just thought that they weren't calling the same game, or he wasn't executing the same passes that he was in that first quarter. And I didn't think it was necessarily because LSU had shown that they could stop them so much as Missouri had hurt itself, certainly with penalties. There was two plays, I think it was, Gabe, before the interception, where Luther Burden was kind of an option. I don't think the play was called for him out in the flat, and he just overthrew him just over his head. And not to say it would have been a big game.
He was under a little pressure on that play. I remember what you're talking about.
And then I think the next play or 2 plays later was the interception. So I just wonder if something had happened physically on a run, or he'd gotten a hit. And then that also led to them calling a game that was a little more conservative, or him just not being as comfortable going downfield because he just wasn't feeling right. That's why I'm ISOing in on it, just because it wasn't brought up in the broadcast. But your observation in covering the game was that he did go to the locker room. So I would imagine a lot of fans aren't aware that he wasn't the same guy, at least in some capacity, because they were concerned enough to take him into the locker room.
Yeah, and then again, it's where we've been the last couple of years. Hey, if he's out there, then they consider him the best option, and you go from there. And like I said, I mean, we're not going to get a straight answer about what happened, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. I get it. You don't want to tell Kentucky, hey, this is where Brady's hurt. Right. Maybe go after him there. So it's fine. But I don't know. I didn't think it had a major impact on the game. I just thought Missouri put itself in some bad positions with penalties and drops. And I thought that was what stalled the offense out more than, the approach or what Brady could or couldn't do.
Hey, Gabe, after last week's game, I know you're out of town, but Eli was asked about Marquise Johnson, and his, I think, direct quote was, we need to get him the ball more. He had 13 snaps on Saturday. Jackson always likes to talk about how he can take the top off. And in the second half, it looks like LSU made some pretty good adjustments on Luther Burden, whose second half stats were night and day compared to the first half. Why is Johnson not on the field more if he's the kind of guy that can distract the defense and at least get that attention downfield?
Well, here's the thing. When you put Marquise Johnson out there right now, everybody kind of knows what he's doing, right? And they need to find some different ways to get him the ball so that you don't just go, hey, 17's on the field, watch the deep ball. But that's been his main thing. And at wide receiver, honestly, I mean, Burton's leading the country in receiving. Theo Weeks has had a good year. Mookie Cooper is having by far his best year. I don't know, unless you take the tight end off the field and put Marquise Johnson in, and then obviously you're probably hurting your ability to block and run the football. I don't know who you take the snaps away from. And I think it's a thing where we just automatically assume if we see a guy for 13 snaps and he's good, we assume he'll be better for 26. That's not always the case. Some of these guys work because they just do certain things really well, and you find the right spot for them. And, he's 6 games into his career. He's going to get more responsibility as they go on. The other thing to remember is they played this game without Mekhi Miller. He's going to come back. So Marquise Johnson, for all the good he's doing right now, he's the 5th wide receiver on the team, and it's tough to argue he should be higher than that, in my opinion.
How do you expect him to respond next week at Kentucky? What kind of Mizzou team you think we'll see?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was impressed with the fight and the toughness they showed. After you fall behind in that game, it would be easy to say, well, gave it a shot and we're done. But they came back. They took the lead again. They just didn't quite make enough plays in the end. I don't look at this as a team that I think LSU is going to beat them twice. I mean, they may lose against Kentucky because this is a very evenly matched game. But I would expect Missouri to play well.
Mm-hmm. Despite the uniforms that they wore Saturday?
Sorry, dropped out there. Anybody seen it?
Yeah, I just like to see gold pants is all. But yeah. I know that's important to you as well. I know it's important to you as well. That's why I bring it up.
It is. It's a big deal.
Colonel, in reading what you wrote this morning, I think this is a fair assessment. And I actually share your thoughts on it, which I know will sound crazy and Homer, but then the second part of it will sound, I'm anti-Mizzou. So it's great. I'm reaching both fan wings of the fan base of our audience by being either pro-Missouri or anti-Missouri for hardcore Missouri fans. I could see them winning any of the 6 games remaining. Yes, I include Athens, Georgia. I'm not expecting it, but I could see it. And I also could see them losing any of the 6 games they have remaining. Yep. You wrote that, and I share that opinion. I think it's a wide delta. I expected them to be at worst 4-2. So this whole thing about they're 5-1. I mean, that's great. But what else are they supposed to be? 4-2, 5-1, or 6-0 are really the only choices if you're going to have a serious conversation about a football team in October around here. But now you have the games that would feature a lot of toss-ups where they're going to be either single-digit favorites or single-digit underdogs, minus, I think, Georgia. Otherwise, I think they're going to be single-digit favorites or single-digit underdogs.
I think this team has 9 to 10. Well, no, I'm sorry. I think they've got probably 5 or 6 swing games on the schedule total. They're 1-0 so far. Kansas State was a swing game. Right. LSU wasn't, because in August nobody expected them to win that, and nobody expected them to lose any. You knew they were going to be 4-1, and the K-State game would determine 5-1 or 4-2. From here on out, Kentucky's a swing game. South Carolina's a swing game. Florida's a swing game. Tennessee's a swing game, and Arkansas is a swing game. What you do in those 5 games, I think the ceiling for this team is 10-2, because even if they do, and I don't think it's impossible that they win at Georgia, but it's unlikely. But even if they win that, they could win any game on their schedule, but they're not going to win every game on their schedule. And they could lose any game on their schedule, but they're not going to lose every game. So I think the floor is realistically probably 7-5. The ceiling's 10-2, and there's obviously a huge difference in those two things. And if you start out 5-0, there's no way to look at 7-5 as anything but fairly disappointing. So obviously you want to get past that. I said this morning, I think they're probably an 8-win team. I think 9's more likely than 7. But if I had to pick, the record down the stretch, I'd go 3-3 in the last 6. And I don't know which 3 would be on either side necessarily.
You surprised at all how well Cody Schrader has played? I know he had a big career at Truman State, but I don't think anybody expected a whole lot of him at Mizzou. And he's one of the leading rushers in the SEC.
Yeah, look, I've been right there with the people trying to say, hey, this is a really nice story, but you just can't be a good SEC team if this is your number one back. And I'm wrong. The kid has worked his butt off. He has done a great job. I mean, he's good for one carry a game that you go, oh, man, that kind of turned things around. He had a 52-yarder on Saturday. He also had the 21-yard touchdown. But he's going to give you at least one play that really kind of flips things in your favor. And he got, I think, 63 of the 71 snaps at running back on Saturday. So he's the guy, no question.
Yeah, he's really been pretty remarkable. He just doesn't look the part, really. But I guess he's faster than what we think. And must be very strong because he's not a big guy.
He's got two things going for him. He's really decisive. He doesn't dance. He goes. And sometimes that means, hey, he runs into the left guard and it's only 3 yards. But sometimes that's the best you can do out of a play. 3 is better than -3. The second thing, he's got really good vision, I think. Like, he sees the hole and he knows where to take the football. And that's an incredibly underrated. I think it's probably the most important thing for a running back because, like, everybody's fast out there. Everybody's strong. But you've got to be able to take the ball and either know where the play should go, and if that's not there, know where the play can go if your initial hole was plugged.
Gabe Dearman, brought to you by James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Colonel, before we let you go, tell us about that Ryder Cup experience in Italy.
Yeah, it was. I would highly recommend anybody that likes sports. But if you like golf, it's unlike anything else, right? It's the only professional sporting event I can think of where, and whatever, hey, if they made money, it wouldn't wreck it for me. But look at the careers of Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm and Jordan Spieth and all these guys, and they all say this is incredible. This is the best week I've ever had on a golf course. I know Bobby McIntyre said he was scared to death of the opening tee shot for 2 months. He said he was almost in tears on the driving range. He was so nervous about it. And I like a golf tournament where they cheer for bad shots. Like there are European fans yelling, hit it in the water.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's like a real sporting event. We don't have to be polite and clap all the time. I mean, they're hazing the Americans and singing songs. It was absolutely an amazing experience.
Yeah.
You were over there for 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, maybe 11, 12 days?
Yeah, I was gone for 12 days,
God
and
bless.
you know what? Amazingly, Power Mizzou is still standing when I got back, and I don't know. I'm not sure anybody really needs me, to be quite honest.
Are you thinking about shutting her down?
I'm considering booking a flight and just cashing the checks from somewhere else, but we'll see how it goes.
Gosh.
How about that? Breaking news.
Yeah, that's our lead.
Yeah, we buried the lead. Gabe, welcome back to these United States of America, Missouri and Kentucky on Saturday. Colonel will be with us on 101 ESPN on Friday, and of course every Monday on TMA, brought to you by the great James Carlton. Thank you, Gabe.
Have a good one, guys.
There he is. the
Thanks,
Colonel.
Gabe.
Not as enthusiastic about the fake punt ideas I thought he would be.
Yeah. Well, we can get him away from talking about the uniforms all the time. He's really pretty knowledgeable.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
You could tell he wanted to jump on that opportunity, but he
did.
Controlled himself.
Yeah.
He had to go on for 20, 30 minutes.
I guess.
We have emails.
Exactly. Got things to get to.
Doug, I'm sure you're disappointed in hearing this, but after I got back from that game on Saturday, I rewatched that game on Saturday night.
Did?
Yeah, I know you're
The
probably
whole
disappointed.
thing?
Yeah, it's pretty quick when you're fast forwarding through all the stoppage. But anyway, here's a few other thoughts I'll leave you with.
Oh, wow. James, this is the first time I've ever seen anybody in the studio with
I got notes.
This is uncomfortable.
Coming out of the
You wanna
second
head down
half.
to balloon party?
Coming out of the second half, they get the ball. They can set the tone, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get stalled, miss the field goal. I still don't know what happened on that field goal. It wasn't tipped, I don't think. But
I don't believe that it was. It was called blocked, but it wasn't. Harold Perkins Jr., they said he got his hand on it, but then they showed the replay, and he didn't. I don't know what happened.
So that,
because it was so short.
He didn't hit it.
was weird.
He didn't hit it flush.
No, he didn't. I saw him barking, Jackson. You're right at the holder about the laces, and then LSU misses a field goal after Daniels goes down on that weird late hit, and Mizzou has all the momentum in the world, and then they go 3 and out. But there's a face mask, a pretty obvious face mask. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean that changes the tone of that drive.
Cook.
Yeah, on Cook.
Yeah.
And so now they're punting the ball, and then it's all hell breaks loose for LSU. And then Tim mentioned this morning. I mean, the play of the game, 3rd and 9 on their own 9.
Oh, that was it. God, that was it.
And they had him, and Daniels just does a great job stepping up. And
Is that where he leaped over the offensive line?
No, he got enough.
No.
I mean,
he might have been snapping it close to their end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he escaped. They
It
had
was,
him in
it was
the back.
3rd and 9. I'm saying to my wife, and I doubt my sons were listening, but I said, "This is it. I mean, this is it. You stop them here, you win this football game. This is it."
Yeah.
And they got pressure on him, but it's almost the worst thing that you can have happen with Jaden Daniels is getting pressure on him, because then he escapes. I mean,
He's like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson.
100%. That's exactly right, Doug. I couldn't agree. It reminded me of Michael Vick on Madden. It's like you just can't stop him. I don't know how Florida State held him in check. You know what I mean?
In that second half, for sure.
Super fast DNs that'll probably get on the top down. That's the only way you can control.
That is. I'm telling you, the Alabama game. I mean, I'm not sitting here breaking down LSU because I really do feel like Missouri should have won. They play 10 times. One wins 5. One wins the other 5. But I realize one's a blue blood, and then if you say that and you're not a Missouri fan, it's like, oh, you're just saying that because you went to Missouri. F off. The Alabama thing is so weird this year because Alabama doesn't score points. And so what's going to win out when those two meet? Because it probably will determine the SEC West. And LSU has nothing but home games the rest of the way, -1. And I can't recall where that is. But either way, they have 6 games left, and 5 of the 6 are in Baton Rouge. So LSU still is alive. And I thought, and that's why, and again, I'm going super into the weeds on this, and maybe it's more QFTA. But, and again, Missouri is not, you don't feel as good about Missouri if it weren't for Brady Cook, which is just not, my issue with Brady Cook was I thought he limited Missouri's ceiling going because I just didn't think he had this, and he clearly does, which is incredible. But that drive where he did throw the pick, but 2 plays or a play earlier where he overthrew Burden, and then it set him up on a 3rd and long where he had to pass, and he forced the pass, and it was intercepted. That set the tone because at that point, Jaden Daniels was barking at his offensive line and receivers. Their receivers had some drops. You talk about Stevens.
Yeah,
I don't know what call it was, but it might have been Neighbors. I don't remember. Two
he had
different,
one early,
2 different drops. LSU's season was on the brink before Cook's interception. And again, I'm not blaming Brady Cook. I want to make that crystal clear. It was just an unforced error. But Brady Cook has been on a scale of 1 to 10 of what you thought was possible. He has superseded it for me.
Absolutely.
But that was the turning point right there, because I think if they score there, I think LSU just goes, okay, screw it. We've lost to Florida State. We've lost to Ole Miss. Our defense sucks. I'm not going to go out here and risk my NFL future. This thing isn't happening. And I think Missouri could have beaten them by a lot. And that is why that was so but again, it was unfortunate, but it was part of the reason why they've been in the spot they've been in, which is Brady Cook and Luther Burden. And it just was so uncharacteristic because they were playing so damn well that when he overthrew him, it was just like, the hell was that? You just haven't seen that. And again, overthrew. I mean, it wasn't a post route that he led him by too much. Burden was off to his right, and he just threw it 4 feet above his head, and you just go, oh, that was a little weird. And I don't know if he was hurt.
Maybe he was dinged because in the first quarter, the 2 passes to Theo Weiss, one was dropped and one was caught, were elite. Those were elite level passes. I'm thinking like Doug last week, can this guy play on Sundays? I mean, he was throwing some elite passes, and maybe he got dinged because, he was just not the same quarterback in the second half.
And so I don't know what transpired. If he wasn't the same, or if they go, okay, we know he's not right, so we got to pull it back a little bit here. I don't know. So it's something to keep an eye on. I agree with what Gabe wrote this morning on Power Mizzou that I could see them winning all 6 games. I know that sounds insane, but I also could see them losing. I mean, that's in play. And so that's why when you have a 22-7 lead and then you shoot yourself in the foot a bunch, and don't get me wrong, LSU did as well. That's good because, Missouri's showing progress. Hey, you know what? One of the things we thought was showing progress was the defense. Well, you don't just assume it's going to be there because guess what? The defense is absolutely regressed. Meanwhile, if you would have had this offense that you have in 2023 with the defense you had in 2022, you would have an elite college football team. But now this year, strangely, you have an elite offense with a defense that is super porous. With that said, you were playing against a guy that, from my standpoint, I don't know how many players are better in college football than Jaden Daniels. You know, I mean, he carried his team on Saturday.
Certainly.
And you won't see anything like that the rest of the way, at least what's scheduled on the regular season for Missouri. All right, James, always enjoy the conversation.
It's just exciting to have good football in October.
Well,
that was a
it
lot
is.
of fun. Even though we lost, that was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to Kentucky.
I know you brought notes. You bring any notes about rescheduling homecoming against a better opponent?
Yeah,
what was
that's
that
right. That was he's an odd guy. But you guys enjoy yourselves.
There
All right,
he is.
thank
That
you.
is James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, giving us his thoughts on the fun and games in Columbia, Missouri. And really, Colonel doesn't sound like the fake punt. He wasn't really.
He doesn't know foot,
I actually
no ball.
thought that was going to be the only question.
Because he was going to hang up?
Yeah.
He was going to pass on us?
When we doubled down about put Luther Burden out, I thought he was done. But he brought up the fullback sneak, which I didn't think would even be in the playbook. So
Ken Strode returns. Iggy, Gabe not on board with the idea of the fake punt.
Well, he was in Italy. What does he know?
Yeah.
There you go.
Probably forgot to
I
play
think he
football.
actually hated it.
Well,
But he wasn't expecting it, so I don't.
What do you feel about the 4th and 32 going for it?
Doug?
I don't know that we
He
asked that
suggested a fullback
specific plunge.
fullback
plunge.
plunge.
You know, just kind of a quick opener there.
He got mad at Doug because Doug brought up the uniform, so the thing was already off to a bad
Mm-hmm.
start. So he was in a bad state of mind. I think if you take that uniform question away, I think he would have liked it.
I think they beat LSU if they had better uniforms.
The gold pant?
Yeah. Isn't it nice when LSU runs on the field, you go, oh, yeah, there's LSU. Classic uniform. Yeah, look the same. Watched a little bit of the Cowboys and 49ers last night. Yeah, boy.
Can you
those
tell who was who?
Teams look great. Fantastic. They don't change uniforms. Saw the Arizona Cardinals. It literally took me 15 minutes to know who was playing. I said, is that Tampa? Who is that?
Yeah. They don't have quite the history that the Cowboys and 49ers do.
I just like to see gold pants. That's just me.
I figured they weren't going gold pants because it was a blackout game. I just thought they'd go black pant. But it went white pant, but with no stripe. And as it turns out, we were at the Hit and Giggle all Friday, but they were furious throughout the day about those pants.
Fans were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And most of them shorts. That's what's so weird.
I think they look great.
God, who gets upset about pants?
Well, I do.
I'm still upset about that game.
Well, let me talk you through it. What's going on here?
It really.
Did you go? Where did you watch it?
Sports bar with all my friends and.
What sports bar?
Friendlies and. I was
Fried chicken? Did you see Denny?
No, didn't see Denny, nor did I have any
Where was
fried
Denny?
chicken. I had breakfast beforehand, so I would be unencumbered while watching the game.
Did you go to the one in South County or in the city?
The city.
Oh,
First
gosh.
I live.
That's a great place.
I thought the city one closed.
This one's on. There's multiple. There's one on like 55 in Bayless, and then there's
Right.
There's one on Rogers Place, like in South City.
Yeah, that's the one where
Yeah, that's where we were.
I thought that closed for some reason.
I think they're under new
Or maybe
ownership.
Denny. Oh, Denny doesn't own it anymore?
I don't think they definitely don't have fried chicken on the menu.
Dog?
They don't.
That makes me want to throw something.
That's what they were known for.
I can't. I don't know what to tell you. Still cash only. I don't know.
We had a heck of a foot fetish Friday there one.
We did.
Yeah, the pool tables are still there.
Foot fetish Friday.
Yeah.
And Nicki Minaj mixed fusion Moscato.
That's what people were drinking.
And it was really a lesson to me that I need to lower my emotional investment because a loss like that in October shouldn't get me that upset. But I was in a
Really? That sounds like we need to. It sounds like we're gonna have a big balloon party. I didn't realize that you were like despondent.
It was like a beautiful fall day as I was leaving. Sun was shining. Couldn't have been nicer. And I was legit sad for hours after. Like, didn't
Were
wanna
you
look
more
at
upset about this than you were the Princeton game? Wow, it's even a thought. Interesting.
It's Bud tied for first.
The Princeton game was kind of, as sad as this is to say, never in doubt.
Right, I know. That's the thing. It's like
And that's the case it is when you go up against Princeton in the NCAA tournament.
Right. Like 10 minutes in,
powerhouse.
10 minutes into the Princeton game, I'm like, they're making everything they're shooting, and if they don't make it, they're getting the offensive rebound. So that's I don't think that we got it. This game, like when they were up 22-7, I was like, let's like win by 40.
Yeah.
I wanted to like let Brian Kelly and his Columbia jacket ass joke to like leave in absolute embarrassment. And instead, you lose it, and especially the way they lost it. Like I was really despondent. For
On the
hours
crestfallen scale, where were you? 1 to 10 on the crestfallen scale.
8, 8.5.
Yeah.
What's the most crestfallen you've been from a sporting event?
Missouri, Norfolk State.
So when you were
Like,
at,
that was tears, but I was a child.
so when you were at Friendlies, Were there patrons yelling for the fake punt on 4th and 32?
Yeah,
Were there people wanting
Me and
the
my
fake
friends were debating, like, should they punt it or throw it? I was like, honestly, you're just hoping for a miracle, so anything will do.
I don't think what they did was smart, though.
Well, ultimately,
if they
like, this
just
is results-oriented,
citied it down, I guess I get it.
That's what Gabe said. He said he had no issue with them going for it. Like, what are the choices? But he thought the play was ridiculous to run.
Down.
Right, and it's results-oriented, but, I mean, Theo Weiss was like a couple yards, maybe a yard short of getting to the line to gain. So, I mean, results-oriented.
Getting to the line to gain?
He was like 15, 20 yards short.
At the 50. That's where they ended up, was at the 50, wasn't he?
Right, but they had to get to like the LSU 40.
Maybe I was looking at the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you were looking at the original
that's what you were looking at.
Okay, my apologies. Yeah, results-oriented, obviously, so... But
we were watching the game through tears at that point.
No,
so
not
we couldn't
tears.
see
But I was just
everything.
I really don't like Brian Kelly, and I really don't like LSU, and so I want Mizzou to be 6-0 going into Kentucky. I just want hope, man. All I want is hope. I've watched football for my entire life with Missouri, and twice have I had real hope.
But here is the thing, and I know most people around the country certainly, and even most people in the St. Louis area would say, if you wanted Missouri to achieve the ultimate prize, it's still in play.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just a lot harder.
The thing about it is, you don't get opportunities like that. You know, how often do you really, where you're undefeated, you're playing that team? Granted, it's an 11 o'clock kick, but it's still on ESPN. Granted, most of the country was watching Texas, Oklahoma, especially considering how dramatic that game was. But when you beat a blue blood. Like, I think Kentucky might be a better team than LSU. I know that sounds totally asinine considering what happened 48 hours ago. But I think it's in play. I think LSU has one of the best 3 players in college football. And if he is able to be healthy the rest of the way, they're going to be dangerous, in part because of who they have left. But with that said, Missouri beating LSU would catch more people around the country's attention than Missouri beating Kentucky on Saturday. You follow me on that?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because so much college football is about perception and blue bloods, even though you don't necessarily usually know who the players are. They usually change every other year. Jaden Daniels being an exception, Iggy's guy, Caleb Williams being an example. But for the most part, you're starting to see that now with what you have with Brock Bowers at Georgia and the attention he's getting. But for the most part, you're playing the program's heritage versus the actual players. Mm-hmm. And LSU just has so much vulnerability defensively that you just don't get these opportunities. And when you're up 22-7 and you shot yourself in the foot, that's why that's tough. Furthermore, I've been around long enough to know that these don't come around all the time. You don't get that game. If you're lucky, you get that once a year. But for Missouri fans, they've been pissing down their leg against take your pick of whomever in September's. And then on top of it, sometimes the team just isn't that good. And so you got to capitalize on them. But I don't feel like that was a coaching situation on Saturday. I think if anything, you have to give the head coach, Eli Drinkwitz, and Kirby Moore credit for the game plan that they devised. You have to continue to give Brady Cook credit and Luther Burden and the wide receiver core they have there. But when it's self-inflicted wounds with the offensive line and the snap with Connor Tallis in the 4th time this year, Stevens and the drops, that crap, and then getting kicked out of the game. I mean, for spitting on a guy, that's just, you can't have that crap because it lasts until the next time you have an opportunity like that, and that might not be until 2027. As terrible as it is to say, and that's why. So if you have that perspective, it's rather brutal. At the same time, you beat Kentucky, you're really in a good spot to be a one-loss top 15 team when you go into what most likely will be an undefeated Georgia. Georgia's toughest game between now and Missouri is, man, it's their schedule's relatively speaking light. I guess Florida at what used to be called, and I apologize again because I know I said Cleveland Indians earlier, the world's biggest cocktail party. I'm sorry. I know my sons might be listening, and they could have just heard that, but they used to call it that, Doug.
Oh, they did. I was there a few
Yep,
years.
just got an email from corporate.
So I'm gone. Okay.
Why was that politically incorrect?
I don't know, but I know you can't say it anymore.
I think it's the
Really?
schools pushing up against it because it's underage drinking kind of thing. I think the schools are trying to push away from it.
Yeah, there's a belief that some. Yeah, thank you.
I know.
That.
I'm not like defending it. I'm just telling you why I think the schools want to change.
So either way, point being, Georgia's. When you saw Georgia, come back to life for the first time since skull effing TCU earlier in the year in the national championship game. By just skull effing Kentucky. Poor Kentucky was on the receiving end of Georgia going, okay, it's time for us to play. Enough screwing around with Auburn and South Carolina. So if they're still in that mood, it doesn't really matter what Missouri does in Athens. And it probably doesn't. Missouri beats Georgia in Athens, 5 out of 100 times, and that might be high. But hey, if it was the Georgia team that played against South Carolina or Auburn, they're vulnerable. And I still think Missouri can play with anybody who's left on their schedule. But the thing is, I could also see them losing to everybody left on their schedule. So it's a wide delta.
Yeah,
that punt wouldn't even have happened if, let's not forget, Mevis had I think it was a 50-yard field goal, which he usually makes more than half the time. For some reason, left it like 20 yards short.
Yeah.
It looked like a push punt.
I think the holder, it looked like from what I saw, turned the laces out like right at the very last second, and I saw him and Mevis have a conversation on the sideline afterwards. So I think there was a hold problem on that one.
Scott Trinkle-Ballsack with a great observation here. I forgot about this part. They nearly got the miracle when Jaden Daniels fumbled, but then recovered his own fumble. Remember that?
Oh, Darius Robinson had him. It got a terrible bounce. If it bounces
Doug, watch this.
forward.
I see that. Could have been a Missouri touchdown.
Yes.
It bounces the other way.
Scoop and score, or if you just pick it up there, you're like on your own 45-yard line with a chance to tie it up. Oh, my God.
Well, I'm less concerned about Mizzou than I am about Jackson's mental health. If he's at an 8.5,
Well, the good news is he's got Bloom Party coming up, so they'll be supportive and they'll carry him through it.
They usually advise medication at a crestfallen 9.
Yeah, I know.
So you're close.
Getting close.
You need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Game Saturday's in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, in Lexington. Night game.
I guess Kentucky would be
Can't wait to watch that.
4.5-point favorite, probably.
Plowhawk, you going to watch it?
Hell yeah.
Okay, all right. I couldn't tell if you were being facetious.
Let's go Wildcat.
Oh, no!
Come on, I won't stand for that.
I'm kidding. I don't like Kentucky.
Why would you say that?
It reminded me of the game we watched at Tim's house.
Oh, poor Gangster Pete.
Yeah, Gangster Pete really. When you talk about a crest,
he was close to
9. I don't know why. I don't even know.
2.5. Now I'm still invested. But if they lose to Kentucky, then it's like, okay, there's really now you're just jacking around for the exhibition games, and it's just like.
I don't think they beat Kentucky.
I think they do. But
Surprise, surprise.
I think they get rolled by Georgia, though.
That's not a controversial.
No,
opinion.
but I think that's the only loss they have coming up.
So you think they go 5-1? Wow.
Good for you, Plowhawk.
10-2.
I don't think Kentucky's as good. Tennessee's certainly not as good. I think you could put a ton of points on Tennessee. Georgia, you get routed. South Carolina is okay at best. I don't know if I see a loss fully outside of Georgia. Because really,
at this moment, if you were to set odds for all of their remaining games, I would say for certain they're underdogs in 2, with the obvious being the one they're underdog in now against Kentucky, which is 2.5, and
Tennessee?
then Georgia.
Oh yeah.
Tennessee, I would think if they were to play right now, they would be an underdog, probably comparable to what they are this week against Kentucky. That would be my guess. Again, these are setting the lines now.
But what would that be then? Is that 10? So
Tennessee, I would think, would be around a 3-point favorite because the game's in Columbia. Again, this is setting the line now.
So that's 10-2 then of what I give them, right? If they win out outside of Georgia.
Yeah, they're 10-2. That's a hell of a year.
I always wonder who gets to set these lines. What kind of background do the people have?
They're
I know professionals,
It's
but what do you do
absurd.
to become a professional?
I know it sounds nuts. I mean, for example, the Wizard, I told you he had the game 38-31. He sends me a screenshot yesterday, and I figured it was his picks for Circa, and I'm like, oh, he went 5-0 again, and now here I am with, what, I go 2-3. And I don't know how many people, I think the only person there was any chance was watching this is Iggy. The Sanderson Farms.
Yeah, a little bit of it.
Wow.
Sanderson
What
Farms.
is that?
What is that? Is that a croquet
pro-am?
tournament?
Well, I had my DraftKings team together.
It was a golf tournament, Doug, yesterday in Jackson, Mississippi that was won by a friend of the show, Luke List, a 5-person playoff. The only reason I'm bringing it up is he sends me a text and he goes, Carl Yuan? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I didn't know there were a lot of Carls from China, but apparently there's at least one. And who was the other guy? Somebody else bogeyed 18. Had they not, he wins $100,000. Nobody was bogeying that hole, and so instead he won $10,000. The reason I tell that story is those are the people setting the lines, the guys that do that, that are able to do that, and it's so over my head. I would love to be able to do that because now he basically doesn't work, and that's what he does. And when he's not like if that happened to me, I don't know if I'd leave bed for a week. For him, he's like, "This sucks. What a bad break." And then he's like, "But I'll go win $100,000 here in the next, couple months," because they're able to use the math, and the math is accurate more often than it's not, to say the very least, and it's so precise. And then once they set the line, then they pay attention to where the money moves, and in particular, the people who they know are betting. But at this point, the people who have the money to move the lines have people who work for them who place the bets. If you read the Billy Walters book, he talked about that, so that they're not detected by the casinos. Runners, as they're called.
Yeah, but still, the line doesn't affect whether that ball that Daniels fumbled bounces to the left or to the right. There's so much that happens. It's got nothing to do with where the money went or anything. It's just the stuff happens.
No, I gets lucky. I mean, I had 2 lucky bets this weekend that I won. I had LSU -4, pick 6. So I backdoor cover that, and then I don't get the overline in the USC game unless it goes into triple overtime.
And it did.
Yeah.
Pac-12 late night.
Brian Kelly was not happy that his player took it back for the pick.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he said he had a conversation with him. They wanted him to just sit down, grab it and slide.
I agree with him on that, actually, as weird as that is.
It goes against your competitive instincts as an athlete.
And he also caught it at the 15, right?
Yeah, it would have been. He was just a natural motion.
Right.
By the time he realized he was probably already in the end zone.
Something else we had to bitch about.
Yeah, something else we didn't talk about, unless you talked about with Gabe. I didn't hear it. Why are you kicking a field goal in the final play of the game? We cut it to 7. What are you trying that for?
So you need a miracle either way.
It was the last play of the game, wasn't it?
It was 4th down, and so if you theoretically, I understand where you're coming from. I didn't see that coming. But then you got the onside kick, and then you have a Hail Mary. No matter what, you have to have a Hail Mary. So that's the thought process.
I didn't think there was any time left. I thought it was the last play of the game they kicked the field goal.
There wound up being no time left, I think. I think that wound up being the final play. No, LSU didn't have to kneel. They did kneel. So there was a victory formation. Cristobal would have run it. All right, time for us to do the Design Air Heating Cooling Game of the Day! Fright Fest tickets, Doug. Plowhawk, have you been there yet? Probably not.
No.
But you will be.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going a few times.
Whoop.
No scare bracelet.
6 Flags.
It's 6 Flags.
Oh, hell yeah. This place is awesome.
The worst part of me missing the golfs on Friday was not seeing Tim's calves. True story. My ex-wife's uncle is a Cardinal photographer. He had to take his contacts out because of how much the wind was blowing out to center field in the stadium during the 1987 World Series. We call that cheating. So Iggy owes Doug a milkshake and an apology.
Feels like it.
Back to the hit and giggle. I finally made it, but everyone was gone. Well, except for a tall drink of water working on his short game. He was like, "Hey, Buster Brown, you're late. You missed it. But that doesn't mean we can't have sex."
No.
I was like, "I came for golf, not fooling around." And he just smiled and said, "Don't worry, give me 5 minutes and you'll be telling everyone about how you came, dramatic pause, late."
What?
And that is the story of how I knew Doug was the one. That's from Chief Spread Eagle.
Chief Spread Eagle. He's new.
Brady, come here real quick. I want you to go in that tent over there, and I want you to put on a punter's jersey. We're going to run a fake punt play on 4th and 32. I saw this play in D2, the Mighty Ducks. We're in the gold medal game of the Goodwill Games. Coach Bombay had Russ Tyler, the troubled inner city youth, with the nastiest knuckle puck this side of mighty Mississippi, put on Goldberg's jersey, skate down to the other team's blue line, and set up for a game-winning slap shot knuckle puck. Iceland never saw it coming. Yeah, I know. That was a fictional Disney movie, and this whole idea sounds like something a very successful radio personality / St. Charles Bowling Hall famer would have come up with during a senility and syphilis-driven rage jerk session after collecting his winnings in a bet that his glass-installing wino boyfriend backed him on. But I want you to get out there and do this, son. The state of Missouri is counting on you. Now hurry up. I got a helicopter to catch. Yo, Pop, you want to come out here?
That was his name right there at the end?
That's correct.
Yo, Pop.
Yeah, we did one.
You want to come out here? He's new.
We did win $100.
Did you get paid? You and KG and O-Town had a bet?
Yeah.
He pay you?
Nice little note, too.
Well, Cletus kind of wussed out. Cletus only won 100. I said we'll go 200.
Wussed out or check the finances?
I said it's free money for you. Just back me. It's free money. You get half of it.
But if he loses,
he loses 100%.
And you never lose anything.
Free money.
I give him the option, but these pretty sure bets, he can make some money.
Cleta calls Marquette. Hey, I got free money.
Let me run this by you. If I invest and lose, I lose 100%, but if I invest and win, I win 50%. What do you think, Mark?
I love it.
Do it. Double.
I've always felt like a twink in a bear's body. My boyfriend Simon loved my big bear body, but not my true twink inside. Well, just the inside of my twink hole. My new doctor boyfriend has really encouraged me to let me twink flag fly. I have never been happier or more free with my body. The good doctor even shares me with a plastic surgeon friend of his who's also a vegetarian, so more booty snacks for me. He is also giving me a free areola reduction surgery, so oatmeal will once again be king of the nips. Gotta scoot to get my nerps pruned by Doc Daddy. That's from Doug's microphone shadow.
That's a bad email. Doug's microphone shadow.
And finally, ours is the type of presentation where a handsy old man with a Gatorade bottle full of wine feels free to drop in at any time and hang out in the line of fire on the driving range to retrieve Pro V1 supplied by his bi-curious male playing partner for a long drive challenge by a senior citizen radio host that ended up covering thanks in large part to the heavy tailwind, but also the words of encouragement from a Bibleless married work associate who used to have a cardboard cutout next to the old man's bibless
Bible,
married
I
was like this bibless married work associate who used to have a cardboard cutout next to the old man's desk, but they took that away, so he replaced it with a sticker that you can't really tell it's her.
Yeah, we all know that. What are you telling us that we don't know?
Let's say you went to Brown and you were traveling on the team charter, pounding mixed fusion Moscato with Nicki Minaj, Taylor Swift, Kurt Cobain, Tupac Shakur, and Biggie Smalls, and you were facing 4th and 32 down 3 with a minute to go, and you had a former 5-star recruit who played quarterback in high school, and aside from having 140 receiving yards in each of the last 3 games, probably went under the radar on the opponent's scouting report. Is that a new report? Would you try a fake punt where you direct snap to the star receiver who played quarterback in high school, who would then act like he's going to punt, but then fake everyone out and throw the ball high in the air, and then just go and catch it for a first down while the defense is distracted by the wine-drunk, girdle-wearing man who is for some reason looking for Pro V1s in the end zone? That's from Buck Swope.
Okay, nice little email.
That's what we have for the Design Air Heating and Cooling Midday!
I'm going to go with the one right there at the end, Buck Swope.
Even that wasn't good. But
Well, it was not bad.
The other 3 were so bad. I guess
Just
Swope
trash.
just because this sucked the less.
Suck the less.
At least.
English. It's a beautiful language.
Do you speak it?
Time for us to shut it down, Doug. Buck Swope is going to Fright Fest, though.
Lucky
Hell
him.
yeah, I'll
He'll
see him
enjoy
there.
that.
There you go.
He'll have a sport coat on.
He will. Green one, too. Jackson and I are going to our version of Fright Fest. It's called Balloon Party, and it's on 101 ESPN. Hop into the YouTube chat over there. They're not happy, I can tell you.
About Mizzou?
They won't be happy that we talk about Mizzou. Jackson, maybe we should just do all Blues Stars preview.
I was actually at the Blues game Saturday, so.
You were?
Yeah.
How?
Thank you. That's my question.
What
I guess we'll get to it on the other side.
I agree. That's exactly my follow-up. You got a lass taking you to a Blues game.
Right?
You're going out with a Blues girl.
It had to be. That's the
Oh,
only.
my God. Oh, shove.
That is the only way you go to an exhibition game if a girl went.
Correct.
There's
And I
other-
don't blame
there-
you.
There's other reasons, but you'll hear it.
Oh, on balloon. Wow, he just got better at teasing. I can't wait to hear the answer. All right, and Jackson's despondent, so the texters on 101 will lift his spirits. Jeremy Rutherford at 10:45. Time for us to shut it down. For the Plow, for Action Jacks, for Kenneth Iggy Strode, for Remember the Kevin, for Doug Vaughn, and Tim McKernan. This has been Morning After from the Make Global Ultra Studios.
Urban Dictionary defines thirsty as purposely.